Okay. As you can see, the title, uh, it's called Fella Caffeinated, Extra Caffeinated. So let me just start with an introduction. As you can see, it's really early. It's so early, there's no lights out. And so I knew I had to make a video. Target individual. One thing is for sure, we're human subjects. We are test subjects, and we are test subjects to technology that is manipulating us in so many different ways. And not only the manipulations that they utilize this technology that is defense related, directly destroying our body, but also manipulating the brain. It's disturbing. But the most disturbing is the people they've contracted to try to get you to accept these things. It is obvious that your brain is no longer is not experiencing a natural reaction anymore, but a lot of manipulations are done. It was more obvious, especially early on. Early on, it was so obvious that something was happening to my brain. And so today, what they're trying to do is find ways to make me accept this manipulation. It becomes so illogical. And you hear these people with, by any means, have refused to respect themselves because they can't at this point. And you understand that they have no shame. But that's their job, because target individual and anybody who's watching this, their job is to get you to think this is a logical ways to process what they're doing to us. And it's as clear as ever that they manipulate you. And they're really on full-on character mode. Target individual, we are surrounded by people we call perps. They are contracted by these governmental entities, and their job is to truly agitate you, disorient you, and the level of dumbing down they have to create is things that you can understand. I just woke up because I knew that when I was going to wake up, I was going to make this video. Immediately they were, oh, you're going to be feasted. You understand the horrible things they talk about. And because of how humiliated they've been, I make these videos to sound out what they're saying while they manipulate my brain. So let me start from the beginning. On August 19, 2019, I started experiencing synthetic telepathy and V2K. That's the day when I literally felt my brain being manipulated in so many ways. I started hearing the projected voices that V2K can create because of that technology that can project voices onto you, project other people's voices onto your brain. You could hear somebody talk to you who's not near you. And this is what voice to skull does. And this is what, when I say what they say to me right now, is via the voice to the skull. They cannot say that in front of you because it sounds as idiotic as it gets. And your brain is just so manipulated. And these people, via voice to skull, are saying whatever they need to say to try to counter the reality of obvious manipulation, beyond obvious manipulation. And not only is manipulation that you know you're experiencing, but you've been validated that this manipulation is experienced by others. And you hear these people are interacting with you via voice to skull in all character mode, all kind of tonality. It's so gimmicky. You hear a man or a woman, it's like, oh, we caught you. And he or she used this like extremely mystic voice. And I'm like, you're such a clown. But that's the price that you have to pay. Currently, you have to continuously sound like an idiot, regardless of the tonality. Regardless of what's going to happen to me. You have to sound like a childlike man, regardless of the tonality. And it's a consistent disorientation. And, as I'm saying these things, I hear them say, oh, you're going to be in pain. The reason why they do these things where, as a target individual, they interact with you, and they start saying random things, is they try to disorient you. Because the humiliation of reality, they understand that this man is not subscribing. He understands that things are happening and it's too validated. I'm a perp. I start saying things like, "Oh, he's going to torture you, he's going to rape you, he's going to." They start changing subject because what I'm going to say, what I'm going to speak about specifically right now, is a thing that last night they were really trying to break me down using this illogicalness. Listen, I'm not a neuroscientist, and this is not my field. But one thing is for sure, is I knew something was happening to me, and I didn't know how to describe that specifically. As a target individual, they do this disgusting, this disturbing, nasty manipulations aimed toward children. And they make you feel weird feelings. And I can describe it, especially early on. It feels like, and the feelings are like some kind of sensation and stimulation. It's not just purely stimulations of sexual stimulation, but something in your brain just like explode, like just a weird feeling. And I could describe it at the time. And it's not really that, but it was the best thing I could describe it to. Is they were making me have this like extreme, like weird, extreme feeling in my brain, feeling like I was like extremely, that word I need to keep using, caffeinated. And it's like, it's not that, but it's a level of caffeinated on another level, like an extreme level. An extreme level of caffeination where it's closer to like, I don't know if you've gone to the gym before, but like if when you drink like too much pre-workout, it felt something like that, but not exactly like that, but something close to that. I felt like I need to take something in this, and I wasn't even drinking coffee that much. As a matter of fact, I ended up stopping drinking coffee, but I always drink coffee, but it was like a level of just like another level. And I was like, I don't know what's happening to my brain. Something's happening to me. It's like I need to like calm down. Like I need to take like a pill to just, like I thought there's something I could take to stop this like weird brain chemical that was happening. And it was obvious that something in my brain was being activated, or brain was just being released, a brain chemical was being released. And I could describe it at the time, it was like, it's just like like an extreme like caffeinated state of mind, like extremely. And it's obvious that they were like releasing brain chemicals. Listen, like I said, it's not neuroscience. I'm not a neuroscientist, but the way I was describing what I was experiencing was based on something that I could compare it to. And the only thing I can compare this weird feeling and the sensation in my brain is like I said, a state of extreme caffeination. That's all I could describe that as. Now they don't do that at the same level, except last night they were trying to do the same thing because of what I'm going to say. And for example, there'll be a child around me and they will do, and it's not all the time, not the feelings are different, right? But some of the time they did is release this brain chemical out of nowhere. And I feel like that weird feeling in my brain. Like at one point I almost felt like there was some leakage in my brain. I feel like something, like some kind of, there was some brain leakage happening. But what they do sometimes, and what they've done before, is when there's a child, that brain chemical is released, right, out of nowhere. Like they trigger something to just release this brain chemical. So I understand my brain is completely manipulated, right? And so for them to be able to control my brain chemicals and have this brain chemical activated, or some, but that's what all I could describe to. But the thing is, it's not just like I've had like a lot of caffeine in my life, but they will control that feeling and aim that feeling that you get and aim that toward children. It's like a controlled reaction where that stimulant was just going toward the child, and it will give me this weird sensation toward the child. And it was not, and when I say caffeinated, it's not exactly like that, but it's the closest thing that I can describe. It's the closest thing that I could describe to what's happening. I didn't understand, because it was like an intense feeling and sensation, like, and I was like, the closest time I felt this thing like that, like this feeling in my brain, is when I drank like this pre-workouts. Like, before you go to the gym, when you drink like the pre-workout, you're like super like, It's not even just regular coffee. It's just like pre-workout level. And I was like, I felt like this is like I felt that kind of sensation, or not even that kind of brain feeling when I was drinking when I drank too much pre-workout. But they then harnessed this, they controlled this feeling and made me feel that toward children, giving me like a stimulant. And they do that every once in a while. That was like early on. I think early on they were trying to condition me. And so today what is happening is they then try to create this logic. And I think today, I don't know if, I gotta say that they have become much more careless to even try to create these ways of thinking. Because what they're saying now is like, oh, okay. And so what they're saying now, and I'm sorry if I'm disoriented a little bit, I'm just trying to calmly speak, because I've been looking forward to talk about this, and I know that they're going to do their best to make it hard for me to speak. So please be patient. But even in the dark, I want to speak about this. Listen to how they want me to start thinking. And as I'm saying that, they're trying to change the subject, diverge as much as they can, as always, via V2K. They're saying that, okay, well, what will happen if you drink this like pre-workout and you're around kids? Would you feel? And then they will make me imagine me drinking this pre-workout and be around kids and give me that same sensation aimed toward children. And be like, oh, you see, that's how you feel. We proved it. What? First of all, listen to that, how retarded these scenarios are. They were truly trying to make me feel like, oh my gosh, we blasted. What? No. First of all, this is this retardation of logic. And two, I will not experience this thing like that. What my point is, what I'm getting is the closest thing I can compare to is when I like drank extreme amount of caffeine or like a pre-workout. But then this feeling is just harnessed, because this, according to this neuroscientist or what I'm reading, there's obviously like a lot of brain chemicals that are within the brain. And I remember, I don't know if it's GABA or whatever. GABA is like a neurobrain. What is it? GABA is what again? I forgot, but it's a part of the brain chemical that basically controls these like neural impulses. So these electric pulses that the neuron needs to move around. And GABA, I'm not explaining very well because I'm not a neuroscientist, but there's a lot of brain chemicals that when you drink a lot of coffee, it stops that specific brain chemical from doing what it usually do, which is kind of stop these electrical impulses, which is what is sent, I guess, to other neurons. And so this GABA stops or slows down some of this neuron, this electrical impulse from this neuron electrical impulse that stops those extra like reaction, not even extra, those stimulations. So when you drink a lot of coffee, or when you drink a lot of caffeine, this stimulants, this GABA is just restricted, and so that's why you get like anxiety and extreme feelings, and so when they play with my brain chemical and try to get like this stimulant out of me and sexual stimulation, initially they start using this tactic of getting this brain chemical going. I don't know the specific brain chemical, but then because of that release, like, is very similar to like extreme caffeinated sensation, like pre-workout level. Then they will harness this, they control this stimulation, this sexual stimulation, and then aim that sexual stimulation toward children. Right now I can feel it, they're doing it. They like, they they would, for example, do whatever they can do to your brain for you to react, to have a sexual stimulation. That sexual stimulation would be used and aimed toward the child. So it's not just like, it's not just naturally, it's not even just like them just like making me feel this weird feeling, but they control that feeling and aim me toward children. It's so disgusting, but you gotta understand, they are obviously playing with your brain chemicals. Saying that would mean that, oh, so that's true, you guys are playing my brain, you are rewiring my brain. They literally rewire your brain, your neurons and your brain chemicals to get some kind of stimulation, stimulants, and aim those stimulations toward children. So now what they're doing is, for example, before August 19, 2019, I keep bringing up, they were setting up for this whole thing. And I would come back from the gym. And one day, and right now they're doing this feeling where I can feel this weird leakage of some sort. It's just a weird feeling I'm feeling on the side of my brain, where it just feels like some brain chemicals keep being released. I would walk back home from the gym, and there was this man, this black man, holding his little girl's hand. The girl is like 2-3-year-old, adorable little girl. And I look at them walking hand to hand, but I don't know, there's something weird about them, especially the father, obviously. And he says something is like, oh, I know what you like. And I'm not understanding what he's saying. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, oh, he's probably saying that I like to see a man, a black man, being a father to his little girl. That's a wholesome scene, especially in the black community. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I was naive. I didn't understand what was happening. Now, looking back, it's because after August 19, 2019, that's when they start doing this manipulation. This is when synthetic telepathy and V2K started happening. And that's when this obvious manipulation of my brain was happening, where these brain chemicals, and not only that, but this is one of many ways they create stimulations. These brain chemicals were being released in my brain. And today what they're saying via V2K and these ways of trying to make me have logic, because synthetic telepathy definitely imposes logics and thoughts that are perhaps, if you're not under this state of manipulation, you will never have this retardation of thoughts. But this is what they're saying. It's like, hey, you know what? You didn't react the way you react today to now because you didn't have this stimulant going on. Maybe if you're drinking coffee, you feel, it's like, what? And they make me imagine that extreme state of like feeling of caffeinated, and do the stimulation and make me have that and have my memories where now I'm having this reaction. These people are delusional. And like you see, now we caught you. Obviously, they use these childlike-minded people. Because it's obvious my brain is being rewired. It's being manipulated. And they want you to accept these things. And so what they're doing now is like they're making me imagine, it's pure imagination, right? They're making me imagine being on this pre-workout type of drink, where pre-workout is like an intense level of like caffeination. I don't know if you've ever been on a pre-workout before you go to the gym, but it's extremely, extremely intense, right? They make me imagine that, and then they make me imagine, oh, what if then there's a little kid? Nothing. I'll just be extremely anxious and extremely intensely. What's the word for it? energized and have like almost like palpitation of my heart, but I will not have stimulation that are aimed toward children. Now, if I was on that and there was a woman, or would I be extreme more sexually stimulated? Perhaps. But my description of what I was going through was just the closest thing that I can compare it to feeling in my brain. It's not what is happening. Because I'm not even drinking pre-workout. I'm not even coffee. So they just do this thing that feels like my brain is extremely caffeinated. And because caffeination can create some kind of stimulant, then they will control the sexual aspect of it, the sexual stimulation, or even not even the sexual stimulation, but all of it, all that stimulant, and then just aim it toward a child, requiring me to experience this thing that way. But now today, they're creating this retardation of scenarios with logic of a freaking retard. I gotta calm down. I gotta express myself better. They are making me have this logic of, what if you're on some pre-workout and some child is around you, and then they make me feel the experience I'm experiencing today? No. I've been on pre-workout and I didn't have this nasty reaction toward children. I've been on a lot of coffee and been able to watch things where there's kids in it and not get the stimulations. What they do is they release this brain chemical, right? Now because I'm drinking coffee, they are manipulating my brain chemicals directly. And whatever brain chemicals they're releasing, they are controlling the reaction of this brain chemical release and then aim it toward children. And for me, when I was saying like what's happening is, it feels a little bit like when I'm extremely caffeinated. This is me, a non-professional individual, non-neuroscientist, try to describe the kind of feeling that I'm experiencing in my brain as they do these nasty manipulations. And these bottom feeders, completely contracted by these pedophiles, manipulating brain chemicals, rewiring the brain in all the different ways to get you to have reaction toward children that are sexual or some kind of stimulants, utilizing everything possible in order for you to experience a reaction that's sexual, will manipulate your brain chemical, which apparently when you drink a caffeine, the reason why some of this thing feels a little bit similar is because caffeine can create some like unbalanced brain chemicals. And because your brain is being manipulated and they're unbalancing these brain chemicals, the closest thing you can relate that to is when I drink too much caffeine. But that's because that feeling of imbalancedness, that's what you feel. But they control this imbalancedness by manipulating it to experience the stimulation part and aim that toward children. And today, to make me subscribe to this manipulation, they are giving me this retardation of scenarios where, because that imbalanced feeling, that just like feeling like, oh my gosh, like so much, like anxiety feeling that you can feel when you drink too much coffee, especially when you drink like pre-workout, is the closest thing that you can compare to, but it's not the same. Yes, you feel like that, like, oh, it was like that intense stimulant, but they're using this intense stimulant that you get, they are somehow controlling it to be specific to children. You react this way toward children. It's like it's aimed. And so when they give you this scenario, it's like they're making you remember that unbalanced feeling that you get when you drink a lot of pre-workout. But then they are creating the feeling that they make me have today, where they can aim that towards children. And say, see, you would feel like that if you drink pre-workout. We proved it. While they control all imagination possible, making you imagine drinking a pre-workout and then having little kids around you. and be like, oh, you see, if you had this feeling, which is them manipulating my brain, creating this imbalance in my brain, playing with this brain chemical. If you had this unbalanced chemical, you feel this way. Yes, because you are manipulating me to have this imbalanced chemical. This is not a pre-workout reaction. This is them manipulating my brain chemicals to experience these things. Me comparing to pre-workout is extreme feeling, is me not knowing how to describe what's happening to me. And the closest thing I can say, the only time I felt close to this level of imbalanceness is when I drink like a pre-workout, a lot of coffee. But I never had this reaction toward children. But while I'm feeling my brain like that excitement, that stimulant, it's the only thing I can compare to is like that level of like drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of caffeinated drinks, like a couple Red Bulls or something like that. That's the only thing I can compare to, because that's when my brain is also that level of imbalanced. Because that's what happens if you drink too much coffee. But I don't have that stimulation toward children. When that happened, it's just I feel my brain just going everywhere. I feel like everything is just like I'm anxious and like I'm super stimulated. But it's not toward children. It's just in general. They are forcing me to have this brain chemical release. However they're doing through, I don't know what technology is being utilized to release this brain chemical. Then I have the ability to control the reaction of this brain chemical that is also sexual and aim that toward children. So a child come, boom, I feel there's something in my brain. Just release. And it's also kind of sexual. Now, obviously, it's more than what I'm saying. But me, somebody who don't know much about the chemistry of brain, describes it as, oh, it's like me drinking a lot of Red Bulls, or drinking pre-workouts or something, or drinking a lot of coffee. It just feels almost like that, but then controlled to have this reaction toward children. And so today they are making me imagine these scenarios of like being on that state of like imbalanceness, in the sense that not even imbalances, but drinking so much caffeine, drinking so much pre-workout, and then being around a child. And they make me have this reaction that is harnessed, and not even harnessed, controlled to get this stimulation towards children. I hope I described what I need to describe properly, but this is not unique to me. Listen to this. They do these nasty manipulations. They manipulate us in so many ways. And they are nasty to rewire the brain to ensure that its brain chemicals are released in that nature, and then aim that reaction in that way. It's all manipulation of the brain toward children. It's so nasty.
To see every night, and I thought how that could happen, but then I told S. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks, and I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals.
This woman described a lot exactly what I went through. They were doing that also to men. I'll get that reaction, and they could aim it toward men. Like they would give me this feeling toward these men, and I felt the same thing. The same exact thing. It's like they could create this brain chemical release. You feel like, oh my gosh, this like weird sensation that just intense and just like not controllable, in the sense that you're just like, oh my gosh, overwhelming. And then aim that toward whoever they wanted, even of course kids for the most disturbing part, but even men, releasing that thing and try to get you to accept this thing. It was so intense. Right now they're giving me this feeling, and this feeling is intense. It's like I thought that I could take something to turn off this, because I was like, it's like when you drink too much coffee, when you like drink like pre-workout level. But this is the best way I could describe this. Is like I can feel like my brain is just going everywhere. Like if I take something, I think this will calm down, will slow down this thing that is being released. It feels like a level, like I'm too caffeinated, and it was the closest thing that I could describe what's happening to my brain, because a brain chemical is being released. And this brain chemical feels like just an intense feeling that I can just compare it to like when I drink a lot of coffee. So you understand, it's clearly obvious that they were manipulating my brain and releasing some brain chemicals. So now, this is how stupid it has become. And as I'm saying that, tell me kill yourself, and then because they try to create this frustration. And I'm like, do you understand that you're just validating that my brain is being played with? That brain chemicals are being released purposely, manipulated to experience this thing, and to have that aim towards children. I'm not drinking coffee. I'm not, but all of a sudden, bah, weird feeling. This weird like brain chemical released. Why? This is because there's a child there. They try to create some stimulants and then aim the stimulation towards children. And now you see their argument is, no, but what if you're drinking a lot of coffee and there's a child's like, well, I'll just be over caffeinated, but I will not have this thing aimed towards children. It's like, nah, not true. Now you feel like that. They're sending these retards. These men and women have lost their self-respect, but that's their job. It's their job. It's the life they've chosen. I'd rather be this nothing than having to live the life that these people live. To them now, this is like, oh my gosh, we got so much proof. You have proof that you are creating this brain chemical release that I can compare to pre-workout level of caffeine. They are full on character. That means that something is being obviously released in my brain, a chemical, forcing me to have this reaction. And this is not exactly what I'm experiencing. This is just a way to kind of experience. This is a way to express what I'm experiencing. And you hear this trash with their gimmickiness and the characters. They have no shame. Yesterday they were trying to make me believe of like a false memory of Honey Boo Boo. A cop started playing with a siren, and there was full-on character mode. Whatever horrible things I'm going to go through, I'm just so thankful that they never subscribe to this retardation. Listen, they do this pedophile type of torture. The reason why they do this brain chemical is because they release these brain chemicals is because they want you to react and have feelings and reactions that are sexual. Whatever reactions and brain chemicals that create that, they will release that and control and manage this feeling and aim it toward children. When you drink a lot of coffee, that is a stimulant. So it feels similar to what they do to me, because they create whatever reaction that's going to drive a lot of stimulations or stimulants, and then control this reaction, and then start aiming into children, even men, or whatever, even dogs, not even dogs, goats, little goats. They were doing that, could control that specific item. One day they were trying they were messing with me like on objects. Now, for me to describe it as that, it's because I can feel that imbalance that you get when you drink too much caffeine, when you drink too much pre-workouts, that kind of level, when you drink like 4 or 5 cups of coffee. Like, that's because you feel your brain no longer like just it's imbalanced a little bit. But at this level, what they do is that feeling is controlled. This unbalancedness that they create in your brain is then controlled and aimed toward children, and aimed toward men, and aimed toward dogs or goats, whatever. So you got to be strong. You got to understand that that's the things they do. They are rewiring your brain. Then they send these retards, which, for me, and right now they're even releasing the imbalanceness to create this frustration, to get you to feel frustrated. You have people like that, they're like, oh no, we mapped it. Or others like, no, we mapped it. Like pure children. But the reality is, pedophilia type of torture is what they do. Right now, as I'm speaking, they're even doing this imbalanceness. I can feel like stimulations and sensation. It's 5 in the morning, or 6 now. No coffee. This weird sensation, stimulation that is not the closest thing I can compare it to is like when you drink a lot of coffee, a lot of coffee, like extreme amount of coffee. I haven't had coffee since yesterday, my 1 cup. It's because it's not that. It's not me drinking coffee and reacting this because I drink coffee. It's them just doing these things where they release these brain chemicals, that sometimes these brain chemicals are impacted by coffee. And this is why I can compare it to that. But it's not that. It's them playing with my brain chemicals to get some sexual stimulation or some reaction of some sort, and have the ability to control these reactions and aim that specifically on whatever they want, not only children, but even women, even men. And it's intense. And you're like, what is that thing that's happening to my brain now? They do that whenever they want. And now they try to make me imagine this scenario where, because when drinking a lot of caffeine or coffee or pre-workouts, you feel some of these reactions. And so now they try to create the same thing. They try to create the same thing that I'm experiencing today. It's not the same. But they are creating this retardation of scenarios. It's like, now what if you were over caffeinated and you were like on pre-workout, and that's how you feel? Or what if you drank like 4 or 5 and it make me feel this this like over caffeinated feeling, and then just make me imagine a child is there. Oh, you see, we mapped it. And they send this retard of perps who are damn near children, while doing this brain chemical release in my brain. People like that, and even more childlike. I don't know if this is an actual child. I don't know if this is a bot, but man, it's just imagine some childlike person who just wants to agitate you, and really talking in this false, calm way, who wants to just annoy you. But it's not annoying. It's just like, I sound like a genius to you. Target individual. They are rewiring the brain. And then use this synthetic telepathy to have this illogical retardation. But the reality is, they do this pedophilia type of torture. And these people are very pedophilia-centric. And then you have these people who look at their phone when they do this, the reactions. and look at, oh my gosh, look, I'm looking at my phone, so I'm not being manipulated. Listen to the things I always bring up. This is a man called Robert Duncan talk about how target individuals are rewired.
The magical thing is, but you are literally creating new senses that the brain recognizes it. And this may be another human being, maybe a computer. And the Navy, I did some research with the Navy, for example. You can put tactile sensors on the tongue, grayscale tactile sensors that matched up with an image of a camera of divers with sonar. And now they blind the divers, and the same parts of the brain light up under functional MRI with the tactile sensors as if the diver can see. They can see through their tongue. We rewired the brain. And so this is what extrasensory perception is. We're rewiring the brain so they actually have more inputs. Now, there's a cost to that. If you put more senses in, you're taking away from your other senses, and that's what we noticed in our research. But, we've all heard of people who've been blinded in a car accident or something. All of a sudden their hearing becomes sharper, their taste becomes sharper, and that's because the brain reorganizes, uses those neurons for more distinguishing power. They're getting rewired. They will never be the same human being again, especially if they're under the trauma-based program. Torture, trauma never leaves anyone the same.
We are being rewired. They play with our brain chemicals and our brain reactions and just manipulate them to react the ways they want you to react. And it's nasty. And then try to create these logics to get you to accept this. It's like, no, I'll react this way because I have people in my brain manipulating my brain reactions, my brain chemicals. No coffee can do this. No pre-workout can do this. This trash can do this. And you can make me imagine experiencing that if I was on coffee, like a lot of coffee or pre-workout. And then they send these childlike people whose job is to continuously keep you on this agitation level. Because they do this peripheral type of torture. And it's something they've been doing consistently.
Is what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams. And
this is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of it. Like this disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through my friends. I don't know. I don't.
Any part of the body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can...
So they have these tactics And here's some of the thoughts. Manipulations.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind.
So they do these things where they get you to have this reaction, and now today, they create this like thoughts. Now, if you're like over caffeinated, if you're on a pre-workout and there's this black little girls, would you not feel, because that's what they do usually with black little girls, and it's like, would you not feel like that? You see, and then make me imagine that that's happening, me be on some kind of pre-workout or drinking like 5 cups of coffee, and there's a black little girl, and giving me that stimulation, which is what they make me have today. And you see, we mapped it. And they send this child like people coming in different tone of voices and try to sound super innocent. Now you see, they are trash working for pedophiles who are making you experience nasty reaction because they are playing your brain chemicals, because they are rewiring your brain to experience these things, and then send these bottom feeders to disorient you in whatever ways. When these bottom feeders are truly pedophiles working for these entities, because this program is not run by these next door neighbors. These retards are just children. These retards they don't even know what's going to happen to them. They are kids, losers, and in love, this empowerment, feel like they're like a special mission. Tell me how, no, what we do, you're just a retard. I'm sorry, with all due respect. You please look at yourself. That's why you don't want to be seen. You don't. Because the reality of the entities running this program have this problem.
Exploitation endorsed and helped pass key legislation in Congress, the End National Defense and Network Abuse Act. The provision, authored by Senator Brain Schatz, D. High, and co-sponsored by Senator Lisa Murkowski RAK, is included in the annual National Defense Authorization Act and is expected to be signed into law. The End Network Abuse Act would assist the Pentagon in stopping the Department of Defense's DoD illegal use of the government network to view, possess, trade, and even produce child pornography. Millions of child sexual abuse images are being shared across the internet. Over 45 million online photos and videos were reported to tech companies in 2018 alone. The use of child pornography is not limited to the DoD, but data from 2018 revealed the DoD's network ranked 19th out of 2,891 nationwide networks when it came to peer-to-peer trading of child
pornography. So this is our actual problem in these entities. In my brain, what's happening is they're making me think of the time, for example, my employer put me in this program, right? And when I was working there, I used to drink a lot of coffee, right? To the point where I was shaky. This is the kind of feeling I'm talking about, like you like shaky, it's just like unhealthy amount of caffeine. And I was shake sometimes, like even when I was like trying to hold my papers, just that was so like I was so like wired by this. This so like drank too much coffee. Just imagine just drinking too much coffee. And so now what they're doing in my memories, because you get super stimulation, like stimulants, like everything is just like, whoa. They then try to make me imagine, no, they saw that reaction and they're like, oh my gosh, you see? You see what? As if there was a kid, you feel this. You know, I look forward to speak about these things because I want to speak out loud. The level of retardation and stupidity they want me to have. And this is why I think they send those childlike individuals. Today, they control my reactions and manipulate them and have them reacting toward children. They can create that. They can really aim a feeling and sensation toward children or toward anybody, not even children, toward animals. toward a goat, a baby goat if they want to, a dog if they want to, anything. And they play with your brain chemicals. And when you yourself, I'm like, yo, something. I remember I would walk and I'll see like a condom on the floor, and they'll give me this like stimulation that feels like that brain, like over caffeinated kind of feeling, and start making me imagine some disturbing things, and then somehow relate to kids. And now they're using these logics that are truly damn near retarded. Like it's not even, it's just on some other level. And then send these people who have no self-respect. No self-respect, truly. Some of them are children, but they're children. You know, I call them retards, but that's what a child is. They can't even be. I look at them as like, you're such a clown. Please don't even be seen. You're just a nothing. And the more illogical they want you to think of things, the more they send this. They're like the crash dummies of logic. And they tell you, no, we match you. Oh, we mapped it. It's like, Jesus. And so I have to look at it as like, oh my gosh, what a dignified thing. What a dignified feeling to have that, especially when you send these retards out to get you to accept these things. Know that the reason why this feeling is happening, is because they're playing with these brain chemicals. And the only thing that I can compare it to, even though it's not that, because I'm not drinking a lot of coffee, not because I'm not drinking some pre-workout or like a bunch of like energy drink, but it's the only time I ever felt that level of unbalancedness, is why I'm saying that's why it is close to like what you would compare to if you can describe what's happening in the very limited amount of vocabulary that I have or to compare to. But obviously it's way more than that. It's that kind of like reaction, but then controlled toward whatever object that they want, whatever person that they want, a child if they want to, a man if they want to, a goat if they want to. It's crazy. It's controlling whatever brain chemical and the reaction of that brain chemical to experience whatever they want you to experience toward anything specific. They could do that and make me look at like a tree and give me like a stimulation. I'm like, whoa. It's anything they want to. And so they would do that toward children, little girls, little black guys. Like, you see when mapped, you remember you used to feel like, no. And I'm like, I need to take something, I need to take something that will calm this thing, that just turn off this thing, that whatever chemical release that, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I was like, if there's something that can calm, I can take that can calm this reaction. Like there must be something that could just like, because they will create these brain chemicals, release these brain chemicals, and just aim that toward whatever. They're nasty. And then they try to make you subscribe to it. But target individual, we are being rewired. They are doing things to our brain that we can't even explain unless you're a neuroscientist. With my very, very poor knowledge of brain chemicals and reaction, that's the only thing I could try to describe it as. But obviously it's much more than that. Obviously it's controlled and manipulated, and my reaction to this brain chemical release is manipulated. And then you listen to these bottom feeders who obviously want you to accept this. And like now we mapped it. You see, like if you were like on pre-workouts and drink a lot of coffee and drink a lot of energy drink, that's what you will react to. That's how you will react to children. And make me imagine that. The way they make me react today. And want me to have this like back and forth. Target individual. It's just, you gotta be strong. Because they're doing this pedophilia type of torture. They're forcing you to get these reactions so they can manipulate this reaction to be toward children. The stimulation to be toward children. They do the pedophilia type of torture. You heard that. They have these tactics of wanting you to have reactions, stimulations, and sensations toward children. And so whatever brain chemical that can create reactions or stimulations, they're going to create that. They're going to force you to have those stimulations and then create this stimulation to be aimed toward children. They have no shame. To all my target individual, stay strong.